Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm slapstick welcome to your host, Mr. Matthew Sweet.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, one of the many amazing things about this festival, the Slapstick Festival, is that over the years it's allowed us, the audience, to get an insight into what made our comedy heroes the people they are today. So we went through the past of June Whitfield. We discovered what made her tick, and I feel we know what has made Barry Cryer the man he is today as well. And this afternoon we're going to do that with a local hero, really, a hero of mine, I bet a hero of yours as well, a man who's been the comic driving force behind series such as The Office and Extras, and a man who's now making his way in Hollywood. And we're going to spend some time with him, and he's chosen 10 of his favorite comic moments. And we'll use those to discover really the links between what he does and what the comedians of the past has done. And probably get a bit of an insight into the workings of his mind too. So will you please give a big warm welcome to Stephen Merchant. Sit down. Thank you. So, Stephen, you've chosen 10 golden clips, 10 things that are important to you. It is 10. Okay. That's why it's called a top 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Smart. Yeah.
Was it difficult to sift them out?
It was very tricky, yes. I wanted to choose 10 clips which didn't necessarily only feature stuff from the past, slapstick stuff from the past, but that sort of had a note of that slapstick vibe running through it all the way, and just stuff from across the ages and from my tastes, and how they've changed over the years as well. And it was fun but difficult.
We're going to jump straight in with the first clip, which comes from the Buster Keaton comedy, The Cameraman. You set this up.
Indeed. Well, in more recent years, I've been doing some stuff in the States. I did a stand-up show, which I did here in the Colson Hall, and called Hello Ladies, which was about dating and the mechanics of modern dating. And then the TV show that I did in the States followed the same lines and was about me, as a character in America, trying to kind of score with women, and he was out of his depth and so on. And I remember when I was working on that, seeing this film and seeing this sequence and thinking how, even though it dates back to the silent period into the 20s, Buster Keaton's impulses in this scene are almost exactly the same as my character. He has been told that if the girl that he fancies, if her date can't make it, then she will call Buster and she will go on a date with him instead. And so he's anxiously waiting for her in the hope that she'll ring. And to me, it just captures all the same sort of anxieties that I was trying to explore. The nervousness of whether the girl will call, making sure that you're prepared when she does. And so when we join Buster, he's in his apartment and he's hoping that she'll ring. And that's where we pick him up.
See, I suppose what is really wonderful about that is the way that that scene marries together something that's quite small and introspective and personal with this incredible technical accomplishment.
Yeah, and I think it has something which I always love in comedy, which is jeopardy. You know, and the jeopardy there is simply, you know, whether the girl will ring and whether he'll have the money, but that to me just seems as kind of relevant now as it ever was. And I mean, having the luxury, which you'd almost rarely have now, particularly in TV, of being able to build, you know, what was that, sort of 3 or 4 flights just for that one joke. I mean, they just wouldn't allow you to build it now.
Do you feel a kind of envy then when you look back at the comedians of this period and the resources they had at their disposal?
Incredible. And of course they probably didn't get permission to run through what I assume is downtown Los Angeles. They had no permission. He just ran off through Los Angeles, and that was what you did then. And now, of course, I mean, to shoot in Los Angeles is almost impossible, which is bizarre given that it's the home of Hollywood. To get permits to film there is a nightmare. And bizarrely, it's funny, watching that clip, it reminded me, I actually spent a bit of time renting a sort of little flat in Los Angeles that was in the former home of Charles Chaplin. He had this house which has now been sort of revamped, and you can rent apartments there. And I remember living there and sort of it not being dissimilar to that place that Buster's in there, and it was quite cramped and it was sort of too low for me, and I'd have to sort of, you know, I'd have to sort of do my wash. I don't think I had a washing machine, so I'd sort of clean my socks in the sink and sort of hang them out. And arranging to go on a date with a girl, I'm not joking, I'm not making this up, and I have a beard, obviously you can see, it was a bit longer than it is, and I thought I'd give it a quick trim. And I sort of left it late, a bit like Buster with his money, like I'd left it late to kind of do the trim, and the cab was coming, and so I got my electric razor, and I had it on the wrong setting. And so I had this quite full beard, and I went, and it took off a huge strip. And now I'm just looking, and now I have to shave the whole thing off. And then kind of, and now sort of get the kind of thing, and do that, and the cab's going, the clock's ticking, and texting, there's not really an excuse to explain that, you know. Slight delay, big Hollywood meetings run over, and it just reminded me, seeing that again, reminded me of that panic when he's trying to get the money box open.
Is there something about comedy of this period, because maybe it's silent, that you can feel that very direct emotional link with figures on the screen, even though they're ghosts, really, aren't they?
That's the thing. I mean, I think to me that, you know, I don't know how long Buster's been dead, and that's obviously, I don't know when that date's towards, it said 28, 1928, and it does seem so distant, and yet I don't know why. I just think the emotion of that sequence in particular feels so tangible and so contemporary in many ways. And I don't think that emotion, that sentiment has changed. That it still feels very fresh to me. And you know, also having spent time in LA and sort of seeing old images of Los Angeles also seems very exciting. And the idea that, you know, we're at the sort of beginning of the filmmaking period when really Hollywood has only just built itself up, and that, you know, maybe 20 or 30 years before, that was all just empty fields, and seemingly overnight, you know, there's kind of high rises and traffic cops and the whole thing, and it's sort of extraordinary. When you visit Los Angeles, there's something nice about feeling in touch with those men, you know, from that period.
And do you feel in touch with it? Because you walk down the street and see the same sort of street furniture, those hydrants and, you know, things that might have been left over from that period.
Yeah, and I mean, I went to the gala on Friday night here, and you know, there was a Harold Lloyd in which you see the sort of Beverly Hills, and you see the kind of wide open streets and the palm trees, and nothing. I mean, it hasn't really changed. You know, I mean, obviously different cars and a lot more cars, but it's sort of still, and it's still very similar, and there's something very nice about feeling connected to those icons.